Hey there and welcome back to another Miraculous Ladybug video. And today we're going to be talking about the latest episode to drop, Representation, which, yeah, definitely feels like an endgame episode. And yep, having taken a quick look at the schedule, it does indeed seem like we're rapidly coming to the end game of this season. Like, there's 3 or 4 more episodes to go after this, and some of them are actually set before this episode. And then I guess we'll have to settle in for the long wait. After all, whilst there wasn't really much of a gap between the release dates for this season and the last season, I don't see us getting a repeat of that. I think we're going to have a fairly long off-season after the end of this, so yeah, I could be wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong, honestly, but there's a good chance of it. But yeah, enough of that for now. Let's jump into the episode, because it was a fairly hefty one. So we start off the episode with Adrian and Kagami in, I guess, hotel rooms, watching the news broadcast of the BBD, which I guess this is this universe's broadcast by the BBC. Like, it's just a guess, but it feels quite obvious and on the nose to me. I mean, the dude even says, "God save the king." Anyway, in this world, apparently the BBC has literally nothing better to report on than news from France, talking about the election for the Paris mayor, which pits Miss Bustier up against the Swordmaster guy that will very obviously lose the election once again. And I gotta wonder, how's Miss Bustier running for mayor so quickly? Forgive me, I'm not French, but from looking at news sites and Wikipedia, I'm not sure she'd be able to just say, "Oh yeah, look, I'm running for mayor," and be one of the 2 leading candidates. Surely she'd have to be running with a political party, with political backing, even on the local level. But she isn't. How does that make sense? Ugh. And all that aside, would this even be reportable news? Like, how is this getting airtime? It's not like this is the French federal election or anything like that. It's a fairly unimportant thing. Surely there is more important stuff to be reporting. You know, like actual news from Britain. Oh well. But then after that we move on, and apparently no, they don't have anything better to be talking about. As up next, the news is reporting on the arrival of Adrian and Kagami in London. Like the press were actually waiting at their private jet as if it was the Beatles arriving in America. How famous are these kids? Besides being a model for a famous fashion brand, what does Adrian actually do? Like, I know that models can be famous, but I personally couldn't name a single male model. Sorry, but it's true, and if I could, it's because they are a famous actor or something like that, and modeling is like their side thing. So why are these kids getting so much attention on a national news broadcast? The whole story is about them, proclaiming their love for one another. What? This isn't news. It's like getting a glimpse into Bizarro world. It's just so strange. Like if those terrible gossip channels were actual news broadcasters, the main ones in your country. Oh, that's nightmare fuel. And for some reason, we have Adrian and Kagami proclaiming their love in really cringy fashion on TV. Like, what? And I'm guessing that since Adrian's mega depressed in his bedroom, that this isn't actually him in the broadcasts, right? Surely he's not that spineless to go through with this. Him and Felix, they did the old switcheroo, right? Hopefully. Guess we'll have to wait and see for the connecting episodes, but I guess that's what's happened. And then we see Kagami and she's raging in her hotel room, but then Felix appears at the window and he does a love heart and the steam on the window glass, which it's kind of cringy, but at the same time, these two are like, what, 14? And 2 of the most socially awkward and repressed characters in the show. So it does make a lot of sense for them to behave like this.
Lovely.
And then he scoops her up and off they go, whilst Adrian continues to cry about how weak he is towards his dad's commands. And I mean, in all fairness, this kid is a minor. And a minor's ability to hold firm against an abusive parent is extremely limited, so you can't really blame him there, can you? Although, do you actually think that he told Marinette he was leaving ahead of time, or he just straight up left and she had to deal with the aftermath? I feel like that is more his style. Maybe the dude does need to grow a pair after all. He then decides that he's going to use his Astro Cat form to visit Marinette whenever he wants. And to explain how he's getting to Paris so often, he'll just explain that he's Cat Noir, which, well yeah, Plag is panicking quite hard at this prospect, because in normal circumstances, I do think Adrian could probably get away with telling somebody. But Plag literally knows that Marinette is Ladybug. Oh, poor dude's probably freaking out the entire time he's stuck inside the Miraculous as Adrian flies off towards Paris.
This is called psychological harassment!
Just shitting himself the whole time. The one time Plag wants to be responsible, and it's all going horribly wrong. Meanwhile, the budget for the school's end-of-year dance seems to be off the charts. Renting the Eiffel Tower? Fireworks? Are those paparazzi? What school is this? Honestly, it is completely bonkers, but yeah, okay. Marinette's all dressed up, but her makeup's ruined because she's been crying a lot, probably about Adrian. I mean, why else would she be crying? Tiki tries to give her a pep talk, but it doesn't really work. She's still sad, but she wants to attend the dance to support her friends. Did she get unexpelled then? Last we saw, didn't she actually get straight up expelled and Miss Bustier was fired? Was that reversed off screen? Did that happen in the episode and I just forgot? Or is that just something we haven't seen yet? Anyway, I'll be honest, most of the time I do find all this angsty romance stuff a little bit silly. But this whole scene where she tries to hold it together in the elevator heading up to the party, it was actually rather sad. So it was quite well done. She then arrives at the party and Felix and Kagami are creepily watching her from up on high. So didn't Fu teach Marinette about the power-ups, like straight up taught her? And she in turn would have taught Adrian, right? How the hell did they get here so fast? Did they know about the power-ups too? How? What? Also, at the same time, we've seen that the space power-up, the Astro one, the one that lets you fly, was able to go into space and catch up to a rocket ship going full pelt into deep space in a matter of seconds, if not minutes, you know. How is Adrian not here yet? What's he been doing? Does his sense of direction suck that bad? He left as the sun was setting from London, and now it is dark. Come on, son. Lift your game. We then get a pretty massive revelation that Kagami has overheard Marinette venting to Alia about how she's Ladybug, which, well, one, it's cool that she never told Gabe even when she was akumatized, but also, did they really write Luca out of the show for the crime of having this knowledge, only to keep Kagami around and reveal that she had it? Oh, it's so lame to see them have this as a key plot point, and having kept Kagami around all this time with this information in her back pocket, whilst Luca gets left out in the cold. Like, come on. This section just reminded me how dirty his character was done by the writers. It's just tragic. And so Felix and Kagami decide they're going to try and get her help, as Ladybug's the only person who can help them be together and fight back against Gabe. Which, well, yeah, that's a pretty massive plot point. It's been so slow going at times this season, but it seems like these final couple episodes, they've just been so crammed with literally all the character and plot development they can do. So they're setting themselves up quite well. Let's see if they can stick the landing with the finale. Anyway, Felix does his typical dress up as Adrian trick and lures Marinette through the party, although her friends seem to think that she's having a mental breakdown, which is kind of surprising. I mean, how did nobody see Felix walking around? It's not like he was incognito. Also, hey look, Mark and Nathaniel, hey, finally some development, some confirmation. It's very, very minor and background as they're just holding hands and, you know, it cuts away from them almost immediately, but after 5 seasons, we'll take what we can get, am I right? Also, I get they were having a bit of a moment staring into each other's eyes, but how did they not see Felix walk past? Jesus! Get some awareness, son. Meanwhile, Gabe and Madame Tsurugi realize that their kids have abandoned ship, and they rage quite hard. Although it was nice to see Gabe completely slap Tsurugi down. Akumatize me! No. Hangs up phone. Phew! Careful, mate. Or she'll pay you a visit again to thrash you with her kendo stick. Then you'll be in some real trouble. We then cut over to Natalie, who is still watching old clips of Emily that she left behind, telling her to look after Adrian for her. And holy hell, Natalie is not looking good. She looks like a slight breeze could finish her off at this point. Guess she really deteriorates hard in the episode or two that we haven't seen yet, hey? Damn. And yet despite her dying, she still has enough energy left to snark at Gabe from her sickbed. So respect where respect is due. Gabe then rages at her, telling her he never should have trusted her, and it's like, yeah, no shit, mate. All season long, she's been undermining this dude, and only now he's realizing, oh, I should never have trusted you, you betrayed me. No shit, come on. Like, that one's a bit obvious, isn't it? Talk about a smooth brain. So at long last, he takes back the control ring, and off he goes to try and target Marinette by akumatizing himself and supplementing his power with the power of the horse, and his original power is he lets you live out a nightmare in your own head. Also, gotta say, I hate the design of Gabe's akumatized form. Every single time, it's always the same one, but reskinned. It always looks stupid. And this one, it's just so bad. The color scheme. I can't help but laugh. He looks like a weird disco alien. Meanwhile, Marinette keeps chasing down Felix and ends up leaving the party just as Cat Noir arrives. Just in time for him to hear all his friends low-key shading him for not saying anything and implying that he's a bit of a bitch ass, really. And I mean, yeah, honestly, I get it. From their point of view, he should have probably mentioned all of this. But he didn't, and now Marinette is super depressed. And then Gabe arrives, he yells at the kids, they yell at him back, Cat Noir arrives, and since Adrian's behind a mask, he can at last actually stand up to his dad and tries to fight him, with Rose getting caught in the crossfire, and living her worst nightmare of, a unicorn? Is this explained in the episode? Like, Julika is up next. And her worst fear seems to be failing as a musician and her dad rejecting her. But what's Rose's? That unicorns aren't real? That they wouldn't like her? If those are her worst fears, I'm telling you what, her life must be pretty swell. Cat Noir then chases Gabe off, whilst the students form up in their little resistance group since Alia can't get in contact with Marinette to warn her. Gabe heads to Marinette's house, but surprise, surprise, nobody's home, because Marinette's still chasing down Felix. who is somehow able to walk faster than she can run, which, sure, alright, that makes sense. And she chases him into the school, finds her drawing of her and Adrian, and then instead of being, I don't know, normal, Felix and Kagami decide to do some weird performance art to explain the whole Agrest family dynamic and all of that, which, yeah, I don't know why they would do this. Imagine how awkward it would be in real life, somebody to do this to you. Like, why not just sit her down and talk about everything instead of doing some weird fairy tale story bullshit? Like, yes, woo, we got heaps of backstory, but it was done in the weirdest way possible. To me, this is one of those things that sounds kind of cool when you write it in the script, and I guarantee the writers were all, oh yeah, this is going to be so cool. But in practice, it is a bit weird. But yes, we do learn a lot here. It seems that Emily and Amelie are they British? Interesting names for a British family. But okay, that feels like a retcon. But moving on, they were born, they're twins. Emily's the elder twin, but she was a free spirit and she ran off to Paris to live with Gabe, who was just a low-level tailor back then. But Amelie did what was expected of her and she married a rich American tycoon. We learned that Emily was pregnant. It's heavily implied to Marinette that it was because of the peacock miraculous. But unlike with Felix, where they explicitly say they used the miraculous to make him, they don't actually outwardly say it with Adrian. But yeah, they beat you over the head with the imagery anyway. And she clearly figures it out because look at her eyes. They then show that Gabe gave the miraculous to Felix's dad and didn't really explain the potential cost. Felix's dad then used it and eventually he started getting sick and he started abusing Felix as a result, which eventually clued him in as to his fate. And thus Felix figured out that he's a senti-monster. And I'm also guessing that literally no character in the entire show is mourning this American guy, hey? And I'll be honest, whilst this performance art thing, it is kind of cringy in terms of, looking at it from an in-universe perspective, imagine experiencing this. For me, watching at home, it was actually kind of cool. I did enjoy it. I just think it would have been better if it was Felix talking to her, and then it goes into this storybook flashback style thing to show the audience. But they're just speaking. But whatever, doesn't really matter all that much. I can move past it. They then reveal to Marinette that Kagami is like him as well, and that they're in love and they need her help to take down Monarch, who they reveal to be Gabe. And they also reveal that they know she's Ladybug, setting up the big final clash. Hell yeah, it's all coming together. This was, well, it was a whole lot of info dump all at once, and I still think sprinkling some of this throughout the season instead would have been a better way to do it, but, at long last we got the Gabe reveal. At last, hell yeah, we're in the end game, sons. And all the while, Cat Noir battles against Gabe, chasing him across Paris, and hilariously, even when he's the only available hero to fight, he ends up pretty much losing the battle and getting hit by the nightmare, which shows him as Cat Blanc having killed a bunch of people and gone full apocalypse on Paris. And thus, as the only hero available, he still needs to be rescued, with the Resistance, non-powered students, beating up on Gabe, saving the day, and giving Cat Noir time to resist the nightmare and destroy the blow dart thing, releasing the Akuma, which they then trap. And I'm also confused here, because, can't Akumas go through anything? In the show, you do see them phase through walls and shit. How's it even trapped in this jar? Wouldn't Zoe have just been akumatized when she puts it in the jar, as she's holding the item? Very confusing. Oh well, so yeah. Not a really impressive showing from Cat Noir as I would have liked. And since it seems that Ladybug's going to be the big player in the finale, it seems like the sun is really well and truly setting on our dream of having Cat Noir save the day in impressive fashion with no outside interference. Ladybug's able to do that so frequently, and yet Cat Noir, unable to? It's just depressing. I guess there is a reason why we all shorten the title to Miraculous Ladybug, not Miraculous Cat Noir. Am I right? And then Cat Noir goes to reveal himself to Marinette, but his nightmare makes him chicken out as he imagines the worst case scenario, so he doesn't. Which, for God's sake, why? Why? Damn you, Asterix, damn you. What is the point of keeping this hidden yet again? And I mean, just watch. Watch it not even get revealed in the finale. Oh, just watch. Anyway, the Akuma gets cleansed, and Adrian and Kagami get full-on chucked into prison? What? What the hell's this? This feels fully illegal. Gabe is probably going to die, but I kind of want Kagami's mum to die as well. Or at least prison time. What the hell's the plan here? They're going to use the control rings to force them to get married, then force them to breed? Ugh, feels wrong. They need a cataclysm to the face, methinks. Although, I feel like it would be even more poetic justice if Gabe doesn't die, and Emily gets revived somehow, and then she straight up divorces his ass and takes him to the cleaners. Leave him in the gutter. Do it, Asterix, you coward! Do it! And so, yeah, That's the end of the episode. And it was decent. A lot went on. And it really just does make you hate all the adults. Seriously. Kagami's mum, Felix's dad, Adrian's dad, they're just the worst. Burn in hell. But yeah, there were still some problems for me. And I'm nervous about how the finale's going to wrap things up. And if it's even going to feel satisfying from a narrative perspective. At this point, I'm kind of on the fence. So I guess we'll wait and see. And with all that being said, that's the end of the video. And I would like to remind you that these have just been my opinions, and I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of the episode? Do you like it, hate it? I'm curious for your thoughts, both on this episode and for the finale. So please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.